February 28th, 2025. On this day, a new Monster Hunter game was birthed into the world, and the world accepted it with open arms, cutting the umbilical cord plastic wrap around the case of the game disc and inserting the baby game disc into its mother's arms, being the disc reader if you're a console player. The analogy got a little bit out of hand there pretty quickly, but 1 year ago today, Monster Hunter Wilds was released, and it started the 6th generation of Monster Hunter games. And so I wanted to celebrate this moment by looking back on Monster Hunter Wilds so far, talking about the game and my thoughts on it, and talking about the actual anniversary celebrations going on right now as well in terms of the Anniversary Festival, which is the title for what's going on in the Grand Hub, going through each festival 1 week at a time, and constant new event quests as well. The Ramen Collaboration Feast, all of it is under the umbrella of the Anniversary Festival. To begin with, I just want to talk about Wilds itself and what it means to me, as well as my thoughts on what it might mean for the future of Monster Hunter. Wilds is a Monster Hunter game that I dearly love, and it was a very ambitious title. The actual content within the game, as far as the maps, the number of monsters, and the quality of the monsters, is all incredibly solid compared to any other Monster Hunter game. But the world itself and the depth of the story really sort of brought it beyond what Monster Hunter has done in the past. The type of thing, it may not affect your gameplay in the end game necessarily a whole lot, but it definitely has a major effect on your main journey through the game to begin with, and that shapes the way that you think about the game moving forward. In this story for Wilds, we had proper confirmation of an ancient Wyverian civilization. We found the ruins of Wyveria, their original city, and all along the way we forged deeper bonds with a larger cast of side characters than ever before. We've met characters that we knew in the past, again in the future, in different versions. The game also made a bunch of new mechanical decisions, things like giving perfect guard to every weapon that can block, and stalwart guard along with that for longer attacks like beams or breaths, or things like more hyper armor attacks and counters for different weapons, and of course the power clash, which is a sick cinematic moment on any hunt that has them in them, and things like offsets for a lot of the heavier weapons that let you full-on parry physical attacks, which is awesome and genuinely one of my favorite parts of Wilds as someone who plays a lot of Hammer generally. But even then, that's something that happened after launch, because Hammer had one offset with no follow-up to it or gap closer following it afterwards at the actual release of the game, and then in one of the title updates they changed it to have 3 offsets with the ability to actually chain 2 of them back to back, and they also gave us a gap closer to follow a successful offset and a high damage finisher to use after an offset 2. That to say, not only are they updating and expanding the moveset of every weapon type in every Monster Hunter game, always getting bigger, never letting any of them get stagnant despite the risks of adjusting something that people already love and feel attached to, and I love that they are willing to do that. But beyond that, Hammer is just one example of the various major balance changes that they've made post-release. They released the game how they thought it should be to begin with, but player feedback has been taken into account in like 100 different ways over the patches that we've had, resulting in major changes for a number of weapons that either make them stronger, make them more fun to play, or more comfortable to play, like literally, like for Insect Glaive, no longer having to hold down a button to charge an attack while tapping a different button to attack during the charging animation. That is totally fixed now. They've completely changed the way that works, and it feels great. Sure, it would have been great if it worked that way from the beginning when the game first released, and I won't argue otherwise, but I still really appreciate that they are taking player feedback and making by far the largest overarching game changes after release for any mainline Monster Hunter game that we've ever had. We've had title updates as a thing properly since 5th generation started, which gives us regular injections of actual content, but generally speaking, things like weapon movesets are locked in stone once the game is out until the expansion changes things up, and things that they're locked in place again until the next game releases. Wilds has been the exception to this, where multiple weapons have gotten proper changes to their moveset after the release of the game, all due to player feedback, and that is awesome to see. Then there's things that are a bit more polarizing, like focus mode and focus strikes. Focus mode letting you fully control the aim of your attacks using your camera itself, which provides unprecedented control of our attacks, but also changes the entire feeling of combat in Monster Hunter. In previous games in the series, a lot of your damage output depended on your positioning, where you were actually standing. Where you stood when starting a combo made a big difference on the actual damage you could do throughout the combo and with the big hit that generally is at the end of a combo. But now that feeling is very different because you can adjust your aim. A lot of weapons actually have the ability to move during some combos now as well, and beyond that, the ability to turn something like a greatsword charged attack 360 degrees really changes the entire flow of combat with weapons like that are always trying to line up bigger bursts of damage instead of constant smaller hits. Some people love the extra control that this gives you, others think it takes a bit further away from what Monster Hunter used to be before, and personally my opinion is that yeah, it does both of those things. It is a different game as a result of this, and it is also a lot more in the hands of the players to control, and it gives you more of a consistent ability to actually hit things, even if you're someone who isn't necessarily good at positioning. And I love that this is happening because Monster Hunter always changes, it always evolves. The older games will still always exist, and you can always play those if you want to, but it's good to me that they are always willing to take these chances, because maybe the next game will have focus mode, but maybe it won't have focus mode. Very few full-on game controlling mechanics like that tend to proceed to the next entry, and so at least for now, it's better to view it as the current flavor of Monster Hunter that we have right now, rather than a thing that will be around for the rest of time in the series moving forwards. As for focus strikes and wounds, this one saw a fair bit of dislike near the beginning of the game because base monsters are very woundable, and focus strike essentially made you immortal if you could chain them back to back. But as we've gotten harder and harder monsters, wound thresholds have gotten higher, focus strikes less frequent, and hunts longer, and so they are a lot less noticeable in the actual proper endgame hunts at this point. I'd say the other big thing is that even the difficulty of the game is something that the devs have put an active effort into changing as a direct result of player feedback. Lots of people thought base wilds was too easy, so they made a bunch of monsters have 8-star tempered versions, then 9-star tempered versions were also added, and an RNG talisman system alongside them for the people who said that there wasn't enough endgame in wilds. Then they added another endgame system through gogmazios' release, and now 10-star quests as well, and if you are someone who thought the game was easy on launch, I dare you to go to the Proof of a Hero optional quest to fight 4 10-star arch-tempered monsters in a row and tell me it doesn't make your Chatakabra pucker up at least a little bit. Then there's the elephant in the room, which is performance, especially on PC where the game was pretty unplayable for a lot of people at launch, and to be clear, it released in a really bad place. I am not trying to make excuses for it at the start by any means, but over the months since then, they have put a lot of effort into improving it, to the point that as of last month or so, loads of people who could not play at launch at all can now play quite smoothly without issues. So if you are one of the people who simply could not run wilds at launch, you should absolutely give it another try now and see if it works for you. That said, that's sort of what Monster Hunter Wilds means for me. It just shows that they are always willing to grow this beautiful franchise that we love forwards, expand it in ambitious ways, and also are now more responsive to the community than ever too. As I said, I wouldn't necessarily expect focus mode or wounds to continue to future games in the series, even offsets. I'm not sure if that will stay, but one thing I think is likely is that the responsiveness with these updates tackling actual player feedback will hopefully be the norm for the series moving forwards, or at the very least, I really want it to be, because it's been great to watch these changes happen over the past year and affect every weapon in different ways. All that said, let's talk about how we are celebrating the anniversary in the game itself with the Anniversary Festival. It all essentially kicked off with a few main things: the release of Arch-Tempered Arkveld himself, who by pretty much every opinion I have heard is by far the best Arch-Tempered monster the series has ever had. He's essentially like a variant monster that is only labeled as being Arch-Tempered. He's just an incredible fight, and yes, he is very challenging and he will probably kill you multiple times, but he's also an extremely satisfying fight as well. And this also came with 10-star versions of all of the other Arch-Tempered monsters too, and new unique rewards tied directly to the 10-star quests. Alongside this, we had additional side quests added to the game, one of which was the Stories 3 collaboration quest, which results in a surprisingly detailed and interesting egg delivery quest with actual Stories eggs inside of wilds, different potency levels just like those games have too, and this is not only an actually fun quest to take part in and actually do, but it also gives you 3 cool unique pendants, which I adore. We also had the Nadia side quest, which continues the Frenzy and Gore Magala storyline that we've had through the high rank post-game section of Wilds, expanding even further on the Ace Hunter squad that we have had to know and love, and that we've slowly been collecting back in the Forbidden Lands. Another great couple of quests as well, and it gave us an extra equipment set too. Then we had all of the event quests, which have been slowly releasing, and as far as the event quests go, I am still blind to anything that hasn't released yet, as I want to experience them all for the first time in Pro and Noob episodes with Josh, but up until now, they've been incredible. The Shatter Seal Greatsword event quest with 4 Quemetry, Sendamizitsune, all tempered, is a hilarious quest, and it gives us the incredible weapon design contest winner weapon, which, while I am not a Greatsword player myself really, I can still appreciate that it is a fantastic weapon to have in the game. I think it is extremely cool. We had some slimy, goopy monsters in an event quest that just uses the arachnophobia filter in an extra colorful way to create a silly quest against what are essentially a bunch of juiced up small monsters that will beat the crap out of you. And this is exactly the type of silly event quest that I've been asking for in Wild since the release of the game, the type of thing that used to happen a lot more in older gen games, but has definitely been missing from Wild until now, and And maybe it took them until now, but with this anniversary festival, they are doing silly event quests, and I love that. And as recently as last night, we also had a couple more event quests added as well, one being a 10-star tempered rompopolo, which is hilarious, as it was done because he was statistically the least hunted monster in the game over the entire year of the game's existence, but also because his stats are just boosted to such a ridiculous amount that he is straight up one-shotting people left and right, applying poison with attacks that are triggering guts, going right through guts to kill people, and it's genuinely so funny to me that they've done this with him. I love it so much, and it also has some silly pendant rewards and a rompopolo mask helmet that comes in both inflated and deflated varieties as well, and I think that that is incredible. Then the other event quest that's also an anniversary celebration quest released yesterday is this one with a tempered Raidao and Gypsaros. They're both gold-crowned small monsters, which is silly, and the quest is fine, but the reward is the Gala armor set, which is one of my favorite old layered festival sets originally from the anniversary festival in Monster Hunter World. Beyond that, we've also had the Ichiran ramen collaboration going on at the moment, which is just a real-world ramen brand that has a full-on in-game feast cutscene animation tied to it now, and it's hilarious in the best of ways. Not to mention the ridiculousness of the Proof of a Hero quest that I briefly mentioned earlier, but it's 4 arch-tempered monsters in a row, all 10-star and in the Wounded Hollow. Considered one of the hardest quests in the game, if not the hardest quest in the game, depending on the player, and this is an incredible challenge of skill and knowledge against a number of very hard monsters, and I adore it, especially with the nameplate that you get for succeeding against the quest without joining it as an SOS, as you only get the nameplate if you are there from the start of the quest, but it is a sick nameplate, and I don't normally care a whole lot about the nameplates in these games, but this one changed my mind on that, honestly. It's very cool. As a whole, Wilds is the next chapter of the book that is Monster Hunter, and it's been a very unpredictable chapter. Even things like the final boss being essentially the Elder Dragon weapon, and how the lore within the story of Wilds just basically either confirms or lightly confirms or adjusts a lot of the lore theories that people have had for years and years and years about Monster Hunter, things that had never been quite directly stated in the games before. On the whole, Wilds has been a very unique journey. Some people love it, some people still enjoy it, but not to the same degree, and for others it's just not their flavor of Monster Hunter that they actually enjoy. But I think everyone can agree that a couple of things have been prevalent over the entire year of this game's existence, and they are very, very good things that I want to make sure that I am celebrating as well. These being the ambitious changes to the game rather than staying stagnant. It is always great to see them trying things even if everyone doesn't agree on whether they like them or not, and the much greater willingness to make larger game changes post-release in response to player feedback. I think that is a very big deal, and both of these things are fantastic, and I hope they remain to be the hallmarks of the Monster Hunter series forevermore. That just about does it for today then, everyone. A discussion about Wilds on its anniversary, what it all means to the series as a whole, and to me personally, and I just cannot wait to see how this game evolves into the inevitable Master Rank expansion that we will get at some point too. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.